What is up, my friends? So today we are going to be discussing the new show on HBO. By the way, HBO fucking killing it. I'm being so serious. Everything they've been putting out, just bangers after bangers. And I'm not going to leave Apple TV too far behind because I just saw Boy State. Going to do a video about that this week. Definitely recommend that as well. But the new show that they have is called Lovecraft Country. And this is based on not Lovecraft, H.P. Lovecraft in particular, but is also based on a book as well that came out a couple of years ago. And I'm not going to get into the book because we don't want to discuss potential spoilers that we're going to be seeing in the show. We're just going to talk about episode 1, my theories, my thoughts on all of that. But let's just get right into what this basically deals with. And this basically is a guy named Atticus returning home to find out what happened to his father after his father has been missing for a couple of weeks now. He is coming back from the south. He was back in Florida, and he's been going through several towns, as we see in the beginning, and pretty much in a time and era where America had the Jim Crow laws that were pretty much as racist as they come, and you would just see all the segregation as well. He's going back to Chicago to try and find out what exactly happened with his father, and this is pretty much going to turn into a cross-country trip with his Uncle George and his old friend Letty, where they pretty much are going to encounter the extreme racism that was seen during that day blatantly in your face. And we're going to see them also come to terms with their own personal demons, as well as the evil of racism all around as well that was blatantly shown in America during these times. And if you think all of that wasn't enough, try throwing in some of these monsters that Lovecraft had conjured up during his writing and his literature that he has, who at the end of the day, the man himself was a white supremacist, so pretty much you're just dealing with the worst of the worst at this point now. See intense scenes also where monsters sometimes aren't as scary as the actual racist people we see in the show, and it really shines a light on something many people want to put behind and try to forget about. But I do believe that is a wrong approach to doing these things, because pretty much you are saying that your cries and your feelings towards it all are irrelevant because you go on and say, well, that happened a long time ago, we don't gotta talk about it. But it pretty much is the same symbolism as when they say trying to treat a wound from a knife with just a single band-aid, and not really trying to tend to that wound and try to get it back stitched up and try to heal from it. It's simply just bandage it up, forget about it. That's what we're telling you to do. And I think the show really does a great job at addressing all of that, because that is not the right approach right there at all, and we see it still today in our society. First episode pretty much just started with bringing these characters and getting to know them, a little bit about them as well, and that was pretty much the whole half of the episode, getting to know Atticus, George, as well as Letty. And then the other part was pretty much just them starting this trip to a town that Atticus believes that his father was talking about in a letter, about trying to find out exactly his mother's lineage, who his mother has passed away, Atticus's mother, and pretty much that's their destination right there. And this is going to take them, as I said in the beginning of the video, through a lot of trials and a lot of the racism that existed in that time, as we see it be brought up right as soon as the trip starts as well. They make their way to a diner where pretty much they realize that this isn't the safest spot to be after getting some weird look. And then Letty realizes that the worker who's working there isn't going to serve them at all, but is actually going to serve them to some of the racists in the town, as we see them being gunned down, chased, getting shot at by a couple of racist people in a pickup truck, and pretty much nerve-wracking as it is. They, however, managed to be sort of saved, you can say for now, by a silver car, the same silver car that the bar owner told Atticus was the last that they had seen his father was with a silver car and a guy in it. And this is pretty much leaving to believe Atticus that this isn't maybe done for the right reasons, like me being saved by this silver car, as a woman approaches out of the vehicle looking pretty menacing, and I gotta say, we know something's up with her. However, they end up going to a town, and that town is actually a sundown town. And if you're not aware of what that is, it's a town in which only white people were allowed to be out during all times of day, and if you weren't white and got caught after sundown, then you'd be in jail or worse, killed. This leads them to encounter the sheriff that is the pretty much like racist in chief there. and he is one that they were told about by Letty's brother beforehand about how bad and racist he actually is. And we see it happen as he tells them that they have a couple of minutes to get out of town before the sun goes down. He doesn't really want them to leave. He wants to set an example as he chases them in the car. And just as they make it out of the county line before the sun actually went down, we're over here breathing a sigh of relief. And then the show just captures us again as we see a line of sheriffs just lined up, not letting them go, and the other sheriff behind tails them, and they get them into the woods. And let me tell you, that scene alone was terrifying and the most nerve-wracking part of the whole first episode, because you're just wanting them to get out and you just hate this guy's guts so much, especially the way he treats them and talks to them during the whole confrontation in the beginning when he's telling them that they only have a certain amount of time to get out. So anyways, they make it into the woods, and this is where they're about to execute them right before they hear some weird noises, creature-esque type. And this is where the Lovecraft shit starts to happen, as we hear what we heard before when Letty and Atticus were on the side of the road, and he explains it's a Shoggoth, and it's these monsters from Lovecraft that have all of these eyes on them, and pretty much they just come out of nowhere and start attacking everybody. And this is an instance where you're like, I'm glad that these monsters showed up and took care of the police. And I don't know, in most horror movies you would say the other way around that sentence, but in this one you're just like, thank goodness. But still, they're after everybody, the monsters. So our main characters have to evade them, and Uncle George actually finds out that they are scared of light after he shines a light at one of them, and pretty much realizes that they ain't want nothing to do with that. They also realize that if these monsters haven't killed you already, but they actually take a bite of you or anything like that, maybe a scratch, you actually end up becoming one of the monsters. And this is pretty much like a vampire of sorts. That ends up happening, but however, the police and the sheriff pretty much get demolished by these monsters, and our group actually is able to be saved by using the light from the car and some flares that they have as well. And they pretty much waited out till the sun rise the next day when they make it into the town they were looking for, Ardham. They then arrive to a large building, and this is where they are greeted by a man that tells Atticus that they were expecting him. The end. Pretty much, this guy is not going to be good for Atticus. And we're not going to really talk spoilers for the next episode right now because I don't want to give up too much away. But this man has a lot to do with Atticus' father missing. And let's just say Atticus is going to be a big part of these people that are after Atticus and his father wanting power, and Atticus plays a crucial part in it, which we'll find out probably in the next episode. Don't want to give too much into spoilers, but just know he is pretty much connected to that other woman we saw as well that had seemingly saved them, and I say quote unquote saved them, but actually it was more like, I don't care about you that much, but I don't want you to be killed because I need to use you for something else. So we're gonna find out exactly what that is, and I'll just give a quick spoiler right now about what it has to do with. And if you don't want to know, you can skip like 20 seconds from now. And yeah. So these people are actually going to be wizards. And they pretty much need to use Atticus because he is very crucial to them, as we're going to find out in episode 2 more likely. And that's all I'm giving away right now because we don't want to get too much into the book because we don't know how much they're going to change it. So if you're still listening right now, you skip the spoilers, but let's just get right into my thoughts and my feelings on this and what is going to be happening. I truly love the way that it is all shown, like how racism was back then in the 1950s. And there are certain examples that are still very much relevant today, and how people associate power and authority that is really sometimes there just to pretty much put people down than actually make them feel safe. And that is still something that we see a lot of today, as well as things that are still being discussed as well that was seen back then, and we see it and we know that it's wrong, but we still see a lot of it in our society still. And I thought that was very much so done very well. And I mean, this show was done like years, like like shows generally are done a year prior, and I thought that them being able to discuss all of these things that we are discussing just over the summer as well and over the years as well in a very, I would say, literary way that they turned it into art as well is very, very much so what we need, because sometimes, people don't want to listen to the harsh reality and truth, but if you can make them digest it through art, I think that is also a great way to do it, because that makes them really realize that there's things that are wrong and need to be changed, and this is exactly what we need, especially showing these monsters in humanity and these monsters in fiction, and yet when you're watching it, you're more scared of the monsters that people are actually. I thought that was very much well done, and I like them using Lovecraft because Lovecraft was known to be a very horrible white supremacist, and they're using his monsters now to show all of that as well. And I thought that that was a pretty clever way of doing it, so I'm excited to see the series pan out. So episode 1 started off with a bang, and I'm excited to see where it goes. So let me know your thoughts on Lovecraft Country. I don't know why I can't say country. I'm trying to say like county and country mix, and it comes up with country. Besides the point, I enjoyed it. What are your thoughts? Let me know. Have you watched it or not? Are you going to? But anyways, that's going to do it for me. I'll see all of you next time. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel for more of these videos. If y'all want me to talk about the Lovecraft Country book, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and maybe we'll do a separate video on that. I just didn't want to go into too many details about it because I feel like it's going to spoil the story, and because maybe they changed the book around so it's not going to be exactly like that, so you're expecting something, get something else, you know what I mean? But if you want me to talk about it and all of that as well, give it a thumbs up, and I'll do a separate video. That way it's not all mixed up together. As always, make sure you follow me on social media. You can follow me on Twitter, you can follow me on Anchor, you can follow me on my website as well, nerdround.com. All of those will be provided down below, and I'll see all of you next time. Stay safe, stay positive. Hey, if you're still listening, why don't you go ahead and check out one of the videos on the left. Make sure you turn on the bell for notifications, and stay positive.